Hello and welcome to Herzo International. This month's report relates to swarm intelligence. Simply defined, it is how people, animals, and insects combine their collective knowledge to form a working system. We found the perfect example of this within Herzogenaurach's Beekeepers Club. We start our journey into the world of bees with the oldest member of the club, Klaus Becker, a loyal follower of the Queen. Bee, that is.
Gott zum Gruße, verehrte Leute. Als Beamter Konrad begrüße ich euch heut.
One could say that the State Secretary of Herzo 700 years ago was ahead of his time with his ideas of beekeeping. Through this influential character and his alter ego, Klaus regales us with his latest heritage project, which took us to the outskirts of Weisendorf, in Reuth, to the 100-plus-year-old Schacher bee house.
That's a bee house von Martin Schacher, built in 1910. It's so important because it's the history of beekeeping in Bavaria or Franconia. And all the experts from Germany met here to discuss beekeeping and how to help the bees. And they made a wonderful drawings, how the bee is living, how the cells are looking like, and so on. And later on, Karl Greiner, a beekeeper, had his bees here and made these colors on this house, that the young beekeepers may learn how old this queen is. The beekeeper's color on the back of the queen, and the queen goes up to 2, 3, sometimes 5 years, and then she will die. But so the beekeeper knows, oh, that's a bee from the year 21, 22, or.
Did they hold horses here?
Yes, in 1910 and so on. You will see some old pictures in the bee house. It's a very interesting thing.
Klaus's dream is to move the house from Reuth to the Heritage Museum in Weisendorf.
It would be better at the museum because the sun is shining there, and here the trees are too high and there's not enough sun here.
What are the challenges to move this building?
It would be possible with a big crane, but we have to cut the trees and build the street, and it would be more than 10,000 euro. That would be too much. And the bee house, it's a little bit too big, and we are not so sure whether it will break when we take it. And at the museum, there is an electrical wire, so we have to be careful not to make a fire or something. I'm still looking to find a way how to bring this house to the museum.
In the meantime, the new location is being utilized as a field for wildflowers outside, and inside, a cozy corner is dedicated to beekeeping artifacts and implements from yore, such as this old beekeeper who guards over the old
smoker,
the honey extractor, and a wealth of information. The stream of historical information continues at the World of Bees at the Herzo base, where Klaus explains the brilliance of wild bee houses from the time of Beamter Konrad.
Und das ist das Bienenhaus des Beamten. Es ist ein hohler Baumstamm. Und hier können die Bienen rein und raus. Und da unten können sie ihr Bienenvolk zusammenhalten. Hier ist ein Gitter angebracht. Und die Bienen können auch hier ein- und ausfliegen und den Honig hier oben lagern.
Back to the future. The Beekeeper Club is in perpetual motion. Its 2-year training program, Beekeepers on Trial, is more than a learning platform. It becomes a lifestyle. And Gerhard Knaus is the man to get you through this transition.
We installed some new colonies here for our starting beekeepers or the beekeepers on trial. If you also count the small colonies, we have maybe a little bit more than 20. We have strong colonies that are maybe 40,000, 50,000 bees, and we have small colonies to raise the new queens, only 1,000 or maybe 2,000, not more. We meet nearly every Saturday here from beginning of April till end of September. And we are doing the normal work a beekeeper has to do at that time. In the beginning, maybe April, we are checking, is the colony okay? During the winter, it happens that colonies die. And then we have to check if the colonies have a queen that is laying worker brood. The next thing would be to give them more space. They are starting in March with 5,000 bees, and then they need more space for all the brood and the pollen and the honey they are collecting. And end of May, we want to harvest honey, and we have to check, is the honey okay to take it out?
A little bit more.
Also, you have to check if the colonies want to swarm. To avoid this, you can take out brood so that the colony does not increase, and then the bees normally do not swarm. If the colony swarms, half of the bees of the colony leave with the old queen, so you don't have workforce to bring in more honey. So the beekeepers will catch this swarm and make a new colony from that. And later on, we check the colonies if they have too many varroas. Varroa is a parasite that transfers diseases and weakens the bees, and they do not live long. And during the winter, they have to live longer than in the summer. During summer, normally a bee only lives about 6 weeks, but in the winter, it has to live for 6 months. Otherwise, the colony would get weaker and weaker and die at the end. And we maybe have to feed the bees also in September if their food supply is not high enough for the winter. And again, in February, when the weather is fine, so that you can have a short look. You have to check if the colonies are in good shape, if their supplies are sufficient. In spring, when all the fruit trees flower, they can find enough pollen and nectar. Later, the linden trees are in blossom and they can collect the summer honey. But after that, they do not find much honey and pollen. And then gardens and fields with wildflowers are very important, because also at that time, the winter bees are raised. And the winter bees need low varroa counts and good food supply. And then they will come through the winter in good shape.
The shape of things to come can be encapsulated by this quote from the club's website. If the bee disappears from the earth, man will only have 4 years to live. This seems to catalyze the mission for all beekeepers, particularly Eric Bush.
This is certainly rhetoric. However, I think it shows the importance of the bees in our ecosystem, contributing 80% to the pollination of most of the fruits. We import a lot of honey to Germany. Well, honey can be imported, but pollination cannot. So that's why we encourage people to think what they can do to make sure that the bees and keeping bees is being promoted.
What do you primarily use honey for?
I predominantly use it obviously as a treat. On our YouTube channel is a video of my daughter preparing a beekeeper's breakfast, where you actually have all the good ingredients of a cereal and then put some honey in as well. I mean, it's sugar, it's high energy, and so you have to be careful how much you consume. But it's super healthy. I heard people, I do put it in my tea. Then I always recommend make sure that you put it in while the tea is below 40 degrees Celsius. Why? Because there are a lot of active ingredients in honey which will die off if you put it in a hot tea. So there's certainly a lot of meals, a lot of dishes where you can add honey to.
When you think of a utopic world for the bees, this has got to be one of the best places ever.
So we are very fortunate to have a couple of very strong supporters. And one of them is Adidas. Adidas cut out this piece of land and let us be here. It's a wonderful green place. Our bees like it, and also gives our beekeeping society here the chance to train the new beekeepers here in this wonderful apiary near the home ground of Adidas.
Anyone can join in on the Saturday morning sessions during the spring and summer. The more the merrier, especially if you buddy up. Even Eric's involvement began through someone else's influence.
At some point, my son came back from school and he told me, "Dad, today we did something awesome." Typically, that's not what you hear when you have teenagers coming back from school, right? And he said, "Well, we have bees at our school, and actually our teacher is showing us how to work with them." And he was totally excited, and he asked me the question that no dad can refuse. "Dad, would you like to do this together with me? So we came here to the program, the Beekeeper on Trial, for 2 years, and then we got our own beehive, this wonderful thing that you have very fragile, and you don't know really, even after 2 years, on what all can go wrong. But we were very inspired, and we actually did care for the bees, and the one became 2, and now my son and I, we care about 9 beehives that we have, and it became more. The idea that such a program at the school can be so impactful really inspired me. And what we did together with others, Amanke Greulich at this gymnasium here in Herzogenaurach, we started to think about giving them something that they actively can do, where they can have an impact. We started off with 2 projects in the district of Erlangen-Höchstadt. And meanwhile, we surpassed 14 projects, and we see the same effect. Kids really getting really excited. They have a sense that this is important, that that's something that needs caring for. And we hope that has the same effect on many other people. With the project I look after in Hemhofen, the primary school, we have created lipsticks. The kids were crazy about this. We have done the candle, we have done a lot of other projects. This is also our way to help them to develop practical skills. And that starts very simple, painting the wooden material that we use for our beehives. It continues then with higher education, addressing more scientific questions. At the Gymnasium in Herzogenaurach, in conjunction with other gymnasiums and Realschule here in the district, we came together with technicians and engineers and the pupils at these schools, and we developed small computers with sensors to measure the weight, the temperature, and the humidity of such a beehive, and the impact of the temperature to the bees. How does the climate affect the bees? So the little solar panels on top of the beehive power the computers, ensuring that we measure these parameters. And we provide the data to the real experts in the Bavaria district, and we have meaningful discussions based on the data on what we as a beekeeper can do, what we need to change in order to accommodate for the climate change that we see.
Eric's concerns have inspired him to take concrete action in the form of writing a guided book for community organizations and schools. The information within this book is intended to shortcut bureaucratic processes and create hands-on activities for young people. The collaborative contributions of other dedicated beekeepers epitomizes the concept of swarm intelligence. Passing on knowledge of tried and true methods is also a passion for Sandra Hack. Not only is she an accredited trainer for beekeepers, she embraces the entrepreneurial side too. Sandy's Bee Store in Aurachtal has something for everyone, starting with mead, the oldest alcoholic drink known to man, to self-made creations for young and old, to supplies for her fellow club members. Naturally, she maintains her own bee colonies, but under special conditions. These unique hand-painted beehives were created by a friend and are on display at the Gemischte Vogelschutz and Zuchtverein, a wonderful place for young and old to view and learn about the wonders of honeybees. As the season for honey-making winds down, the work for Herzog's beekeepers moves on to a new phase, now preparing for winter to ensure the bees survive. Okay. Stay tuned to Herzog TV International next spring for a new episode of The Drone of the Honeybee, The Next Generation. Till then, be happy. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.